welcome. It is good to have you here with us, either via video or in our sanctuary today. I am Donna Johnston. Our speaker today is Reverend Dr. Nancy Hitt. Our program is titled Speaking of Santa. We will be exploring the story of Santa and the practice of gift giving his arrival initiates. Our service is based on principle number 4, a free and responsible search for truth and meaning. We hope you learn more about the cultural stories of Santa and the tradition of gift giving this morning. There are many different Santas on our table here this morning. They represent different cultures around the world. I invite you to examine them more closely after the service. They are a lovely display of diversity in a common story. Our thanks this morning to Bram and Roxy for greeting us this morning, for Steve Poyani, who is our videographer, Dana Sanford, who is our sound master, and Carol Eaglehart, our song leader. We welcome those of you who are visiting here today. If you are online, please contact us via our website. If you're here, we invite you to stand and introduce yourself or wave at us and we'll wave back. So here are the announcements for today. Our Social Justice Committee meets today at 12:30 in the conference room. We have a lot to do with primary focus on our Little Free Library program. If you have ideas about that, please join us at the meeting. We'd love to have your input. Next Saturday is New Year's Day. We are holding a potluck bonfire at 4:30 in the afternoon. Sunset will be at 5:06 that day. Bring a potluck dish and a fire pit or chimenea if you have a portable one. We'll be burning the dead brush we've collected, as well as using the fires to inaugurate the new year. Family and friends are very welcome. Is there anything else that needs to be brought to our attention? Please stand as you are able and join us in our chalice lighting. Like the flaming star
that heralded the Christmas story, may our chalice flame illuminate the truths we are called to live. Shalom and blessed be.
Please join me in affirming our aspirations.
Life is a gift. We gather in community to celebrate the glories and mysteries of this great gift. In the light of truth and in the warmth of love, we gather to seek, to sustain, and to share. Love is the doctrine of this congregation. The quest for truth is our sacrament, and service is our prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve others in community, to the end that all souls grow into harmony with creation. Thus do we covenant with one another. Shalom.
Now please remain standing and open your hymnal to number 16, "'Tis a Gift to be Simple."
Simple, 'tis a gift to be free, 'tis a gift to come down where we ought to be, and when we find ourselves in a place just right, 'twill be in the valley of love and light, when true simplicity is gained, to bow and to bend we shan't be ashamed. Turn will be our delight, till by turning simple. 'Tis a gift to be free. 'Tis a gift to come down where we ought to be. And when we find ourselves in a place just right, we'll be in the valley of love and delight, where true simplicity is gained. To bow and to bend, we shan't be ashamed. To turn will be our delight, till by turning, we come round right. You may be seated.
I invite you now to join me in a moment for centering. So sit back, relax, get as comfortable as you can in your pew or at home, wherever you are. Uncross your ankles, your wrists, your knees. Close your eyes or keep them open and find a focal point, whatever works best for you. Breathe deeply. Let your mind go blank. Feel your body filling and then emptying with your breath. In and out. Relaxing, soothing, affirming you. In your mind's eye, picture a gift that is beautifully wrapped just for you. Examine it from all sides. Find the label that has your name on it. The instructions are to fill it with the best gift imaginable for yourself. Consider what that might be. What is it that you need? What do you want? What would you most enjoy receiving? How could this gift define you? Set your gift in a safe place in your mind, one that you can return to at will, knowing it is there when you need it. Then return your focus to your breathing, fully and deeply, bringing your awareness of the gift you gave yourself with you, knowing that this is part of you. Breathe in peace. Breathe out tension. Relax. And when you are ready, return your awareness to this space and open your eyes. Shalom.
As 2021 winds down, it is especially important to share our joys and concerns with each other. Many people are still traveling, and our sense of community is in transition. We will light a candle for each joy and concern that is shared. If you're participating via video, you may light your candle at any time or wait until we light our last candle here. We light a candle for all those struggling to participate in the joy of winter holidays, those who are grieving, those with COVID-19, seasonal affective disorder, clinical depression, worn out, and those who get burned out by all of the holiday festivities. We
Just take the mic. Does anybody have joys and concerns?
While you're here, while you're here, it's a great joy for me today that Catherine, my dear Catherine, is here. Yes!
Haley Gabe and baby Kieran, the most wonderful baby in the whole world, got to spend a couple days with us down here in Albuquerque.
Dana has his hand up too.
And also I might mention that my cat Hoshi, who was very sick a couple of weeks ago, is fully recovered and is doing great.
Oh, hooray.
I finally got a closing date for my house.
Oh, yeah.
It's the 4th of January. So this coming week is going to be crazy. And thanks to everyone for the support and the backing. Thank you.
Most welcome.
I'll take it. I just want to acknowledge Carol's birthday was yesterday. So make sure you say happy birthday or sing it, because you know she likes music.
We light our last candle for all that we still hold in our hearts and mind. And we light our red candle in renewed solidarity with everyone suffering from racial violence. We honor the struggle, mourn the suffering and death, and commit to increased awareness and action. Shalom.
And I believe now we're going to invite, yes, Graham Castet to come and share our animal ministry moment with us.
Creator and or creation of creatures, you made all things and made us caretakers of these creatures under our care. Keep in health and strength these animals and pets that you have entrusted to us. Keep these animals and pets always under your loving protection. Blessed be and amen. Now this is a little chihuahua. Why am I so grumpy? Because despite my name clearly being Mr. P. Nut, just says it on my tag, You and the rest of the pack repeatedly laugh as you call me Mr. P. Diddy Dingleberry, Nutsy Peanutter, Mr. Pea Peanut, the vet cut off his peanut, Mr. Peanut's popcorn, Mr. P has gone nuts, and perhaps the worst of all, Mr. Allergic to Peanuts. You know I love you, pack leader, but think about how you'd feel if instead of calling you Masha, I called you Swamp Masha. Drain the Masha. You'd be sitting on the grass, an adorably grumpy face as well. My great-grandpa, the original Mr. Peanut, who spelled it peas nuttin', until he went through Ellis Island, came to this country in search of a better dog park. And I am proud to have the Mr. Peanut name. I understand you can't undo years of calling me names like Mr. Peanutty Nutcracker overnight. But if you ask me if I want a cookie, I think that we can start the healing process.
This is the last Sunday of 2021. Our 2022 budget is still a work in progress. We thank you all for your contributions in 2021 and for your pledges in 2022. We look forward to growing together.
You doing a cappella? Okay.
Let's sing. From you I receive, to you I give, together we share, and from this we live. Yes. Better.
Carol and I are going to read to you the hymn that's found at number 240. You don't need to do anything other than listen, but I really wanted us to hear these words, sort of a morning after reflection, seeing as Christmas Day was yesterday. And if you want to open, because it helps you to be able to look at something while you're hearing it, it's at 240.
I heard the bells on Christmas Day, their old familiar carols play, and wild and sweet the words repeat of peace on earth to all goodwill.
I thought how, as the day had come, the belfries of all Christendom had rolled along the unbroken song of peace on earth to all goodwill.
And in despair, I bowed my head. There is no peace on earth, I said, for hate is strong and mocks the song of peace on earth to all goodwill.
Then pealed the bells more loud and deep. God is not dead, nor doth God sleep. The wrong shall fail, the right prevail, with peace on earth to all goodwill. Till ringing, singing on its way, the world revolved from day to day. A voice, a chime, a chant sublime of peace on earth to all goodwill. Thank you. Oh, I just realized if I pull up my little stool behind me and perch on it, it's going to ruin your camera angle, Steve. Okay, so if I start shifting around, don't worry about it. Minor muscle tension here. However, on December 6th, the feast day of St. Nicholas, the Bishop of Noto, Antonio Stagliano, told everyone, including the children of the church, that Santa is not real. I quote, "Santa is an imaginary character," he said. "The red color of his coat was chosen by Coca-Cola for advertising purposes. Big Soda," he added, "uses the image to depict itself as an emblem of healthy values." The bishop took issue with this. We may join him in scoffing at Coke as an emblem of healthy values, at least insofar as nutrition is concerned, but is it really necessary to pit Santa against the saint? The bishop was attempting to offer a corrective to the overwhelming commercialism of Christmas, as rampant in Italy as it is here. Apparently, this struggle has happened on multiple occasions in different parts of Italy in recent years. In a Facebook post, the communications director for the Roman Catholic Church apologized for the distress of the children and their parents. Babbo Natale, Father Christmas in Italy, is not on good terms with the church. Here's why. Christmas originated as a way to celebrate the birth of Jesus. Saint Nicholas was the Bishop of Myra in the 4th century. Many legends surround his life, though there are no historical documents testifying to them. He is known for his generous charity. The bishop used to carry gifts for the needy and treats for children in his pockets. One story tells about him rescuing 3 sisters from being sold into slavery or prostitution, and he did this by giving their father dowry money for them so that they could be married instead. A dubious deal, perhaps, but the bishop knew the realities of his day. He was known to be a genuine and generous follower of Jesus. His religious faith inspired his daily behavior. Saint Nicholas is the patron saint of sailors and children. He is also one of the most popular saints. People venerated him in a variety of ways, even when they began to lose interest in the saints overall. It has been thought to be really good luck to get married on December 6th, his feast day, and in various countries throughout Europe, different local traditions based on the many legends evolved to celebrate him as a role model and patron. For example, in the Netherlands, children leave their shoes out on the front step on Christmas Eve because St. Nicholas often left coins in the children's shoes, which always used to be left outside on the stoop and never worn in the house. Remember, we're talking 4th century here. Think wooden clogs, unpaved streets, and free sewage. Not anything you would want to track in your house. In this small practice of his leaving coins in their shoes, the gift-giving of Christmas, in one tradition, is rooted. St. Nicholas showed up here in our country in New York City in 1773 when a group of Dutch immigrants gathered to celebrate the customs of their homeland. Sinterklaas, Dutch for St. Nicholas, developed into Santa Claus, and the shoes left out by the children morphed into stockings once it had been established that Santa came down the chimney, which at that point pretty much every house had. Now in 1822, Clement Clark Moore, an Episcopal minister, wrote a really long Christmas poem for his 3 daughters, titled, yes, it was actually titled An Account of a Visit from St. Nicholas, but much more popularly known as 'Twas the Night Before Christmas. For a long time, there was a wide variety of opinion, or there had been, as to what Santa actually looked like. At times, he was actually described as wearing yellow pants, a blue vest, and a green hat. And it took political cartoonist Thomas Nast in 1881 to give us the image of Santa based on Moore's poem that we recognize today. And yes, that Coke picked up. All over the world, traditions developed and focused on generosity to children, perpetrated by varieties of figures that were rooted in the heritage of St. Nicholas. The stories about the actual saint, and more importantly, the reason behind the saintly figures, got lost. So while it's easy to trace the roots of Santa Claus and Father Christmas and Babbo Natale and many of the other manifestations of St. Nicholas figures at Christmas back to that 4th century bishop, from an academic perspective, most of it's shrouded in the mists of time at this point. There are a variety of cultural and religious sources that influence these figures who are seldom connected by straight lines. Each country has its own version that is so well established that it's largely independent of anything to do with the birth of Jesus, except for the timing. Both baby Jesus and Father Christmas make an appearance at the same time on our calendar. There is a lot more fascinating material to the incarnation of Santa, but you see where the bishop has his problem. He wants to restore St. Nicholas and the focus on Jesus as the greatest gift of all to a world determined to engage with a glut of consumerism masked by the myth of Santa. I share his concern about materialism and the judgmentalism of only receiving presents if you're good. And a lot of people are uncomfortable teaching their children a myth that they are then responsible for carrying out, with a great deal of effort, energy, and financial expense. Unlike the tooth fairy, where it's small change under a pillow, Christmas has become the biggest shopping season of the year. St. Nicholas' original concern for the poor gets completely lost in the face of Santa's naughty or nice list. Not to mention the elf on the shelf. You familiar with the elf on the shelf? Yes, I'm with you. Thumbs down on that one. The elf on the shelf flies home to the North Pole every night to report on the behavior of children that he spies on every day, all day, so that Santa will know who's been naughty or nice. The philosophy of be good and you'll get what you want is neither realistic nor healthy. So I have a lot of sympathy for the bishop, but I think his strategy is just mean-spirited and self-defeating. If his goal is to refocus on saints and Jesus and values of love and social justice, he is not going to reach it by making them responsible for the loss of Santa, who truly is a mythical figure for our time. Santa, as we know him in the United States, offers us a few problems of our own. Namely, that materialistic consumerism that the bishop was so upset by. The receiving of massive amounts of gifts for fulfilling an unnamed definition of good presents us with a unique dilemma. What does it mean if we can order up a list of what we want and get it? What if we don't get it? What if, there's a lot of what ifs. Let me ask you this, and I would like to see a show of hands for real here. How many of us have ever received a gift we did not like, did not want, and did not ask for? Almost all of us. Okay. How many of us have ever received a gift that left you absolutely stunned at the giver's insight into who you really are? Quite a number of us. Okay. How many of you have given a gift that you later realized the recipient hated? Okay. How many of you have given a gift that really was perfect and meant the world to the receiver? Okay. When we receive the perfect gift, when you received the perfect gift, did you feel affirmed and loved by the giver's care for you? I see heads nodding. Yeah. And you don't have to answer out loud, although if you're really moved to, feel free. How did you feel when the gifts you received were things you didn't want or didn't like? Yeah, not good. Negative heads, shoulder shrugs. That's not pleasant. How about when the gifts you gave fell flat and it was clear that no one wanted what you had to offer? Yeah, it happens. We all know what this is like. It's kind of an emotionally charged interaction, this gift-giving business. Now, this is beginning to sound very academic, so I want to share a couple of real-life stories with you. I expect that you all have your own that are similar, because gift-giving, whether for Christmas, birthdays, or any other occasion, it's a universal human experience. So here's my story of awkwardness around gift-giving. When I was first married, I bought my husband a suit for Christmas. He had no idea that I was doing this, but he was required to wear a suit and tie to work, and I wanted him to look good. You know how it goes, look good, feel good. I found the perfect suit. I was really excited to give it to him. On Christmas morning, he opened the suit and just sort of looked at it with that very carefully blank expression. "Wow," he said, "I've never had anything like this before." I knew instantly that he did not like the suit. And I was really disappointed. "Try it on," I said. "Once you see it on, you might like it better." He agreed that that was possible and tried to assure me that he really loved that I got this for him. He just wasn't sure this particular suit was really him. He really didn't like it any better at all when he tried it on. But you know what? It fit perfectly. And he had the perfect shirt, which he did love, to go with it. So he said, oh no, he'd keep it. He could always use another suit. It was still clear to me that he did not really like it, so I offered to return it, but he was trying to be kind and said no, he'd wear it, so he'd keep it. I have to tell you, the first time that he wore the new suit to work, he came home absolutely furious. All day long, he told me, all day. People kept coming up to him and telling him how fantastic he looked in his new suit. They loved it. And all he could say to each one of them was, why? You know, he didn't get it. What was so great about this suit? Well, I could tell him. It fit him well. It flattered his coloring, but he didn't care about any of that. What it came down to was that he didn't pick it out himself. It was a color he didn't even like, and who the heck did I think I was that I knew him better than he knew himself and could pick out the right clothes and dress him better than he could. And every time anyone complimented him all day, he made sure to tell them that it wasn't his idea. His wife had bought this for him. He could not believe they genuinely meant the compliment and tried to distance himself from it. And then they raved about what great taste his wife had. And wasn't he a lucky man? He didn't think so, but experience is a good teacher. And he learned that literally every time he wore the suit, he got compliments and people treated him differently. They actually treated him better. So he wore the suit, but he never really liked it. To this day, the phrase, "it's like the suit," is code between us. In our house, "this is like the suit" means this is going to be difficult and you're not going to like it, but it'll be okay. Gift giving and receiving can be a challenge. I recently read an article that addressed the consumerism of the season with the solution that we only ever give gifts to children. No more gifts for adults. Now, I think it's a horrible idea to burden children with a task that we as adults already find difficult. So to make them the only ones who have to cope with gift giving hardly sounds fair. The author didn't want to deny children the magic of being overwhelmed by gifts, but pointed out that there are a lot of problems with gifts for adults. Maybe because that particular magic actually rarely works, and adults are left facing the pain without the support of the fantasy. Sometimes being overwhelmed is simply being overwhelmed. As adults, we get gifts we don't want, don't need, don't like, and we are either going to re-gift, donate, or trash. And then there are the gifts that the giver is going to expect to see displayed, either on your person or in your home, and you have no intention of wearing or displaying them ever. We look at the gifts that people give us, and we wonder, what do they actually think of us? Why did they give me this? What does this gift say about me? Clearly, they don't know me as well as they think they do, or as well as I thought they did. So the author's advice is to just stop the madness, contain the expense, and eliminate the pain of awkward gift giving by not giving any gifts at all. Now, I'm not sure what age the author thought gift giving should cease, but I'm pretty sure that that could become an issue in and of itself. She did offer a few other kinds of solutions. Give gift cards, though that raised the issue of the wrong store or the wrong amount. Are you generous or are you cheap? Do you see that the same way the recipient sees it? It could be dicey. Then there was the idea of creating a gift registry. You know how you do that for weddings, etc.? Create a gift registry at the stores of your choice, contact all of your family and friends, and explain to them that no gifts will be accepted that are not from the registry. Seriously, this is getting to be more work than it's worth. Oddly, she did not suggest what my grandmother did to take care of this issue. My grandmother was an amazing piece of work, and she had the perfect solution for this problem of unwanted gifts. There was nothing in her closet or displayed in her house that she did not love. How did she manage that, you ask? She went out and bought whatever she wanted, and then called the family and told each person what they were giving her and how much it cost so they could reimburse her for it. The best part, oh, it's not done yet. The best part was we all knew this because of course she called and said, you're giving me this, I got it there, this is how much it costs, I'll give you the receipt when I see you. But on the occasion, she would sit there and remark with delight about the wrapping of the package that she had done herself, and proceed to open it and react with surprise and delight at the gift, which was only a surprise to the person giving it to her, because she'd already seen it. Oh yeah, it was truly amazing, but it was a system that we humored because this was who Grammy was, and it assured her that she would get what she wanted. However, it also deprived both us and her of the joy of genuine giving and receiving. It deprived her of the deeper knowledge that she really was loved and cared for more than she knew, and she wasn't willing to risk not having that be clear to her in a way that she could identify. She never got to know that she really was truly loved by all of us. And yes, she did do this, not just for Christmas, but every holiday and gift-giving occasion. Mother's Day was especially fun. Often, at the close of any gift-giving celebration, at which we are the recipient, so put yourself in receiver mode, there's a moment or two in which we find ourselves reflecting on what all of this largesse means. We hear it especially at Christmas, when our culture sets out expectations for us that we will receive great stuff from the people who love us. In fact, we can tell who loves us best by the gifts we get from them. Maybe, maybe not. There are a lot of different factors that go into choosing gifts for people. Maybe the disappointing gift from someone we thought knew us better than that has nothing to do with their feelings for us and everything to do with the fact that they just got laid off, but we don't even know about that yet. Maybe the perfect gift that matters most to us didn't mean all that much to the to the giver. It was just convenient. I once watched two little girls exchange Christmas gifts. Both gave and received equally nice gifts at about the same cost and looked like everything was in balance. But the girl who received a ring from her friend was moved to tears, which puzzled the other kid completely. The giver said, "It's just a ring." And the receiver said, "It's a ring. No one has ever given me a ring before." The thing is, we just really don't know. But we have powerful feelings about the gifts we give and the gifts we receive. A charitable donation in your name may be either an acknowledgement of your values, a slap-in-the-face challenge to your values, or just a quick way to make the giver look good with minimal effort. So, what's a person to do? I am not advising a no-gift policy in order to avoid the burden of unwanted merchandise. It is good for us to have to think and shop or make gifts for others from time to time, to express our feelings of love and care, and to be generous in our affirmation of others. It's also good for us to see ourselves in new ways as we wonder about a certain gift and what made that person think of us through this gift. I once read a short story, and I've looked for it for years and can't find it, so if any of you are familiar with it, please clue me in later. It was titled The Annual Crisis of Love, and it referred to the after Christmas sort of deflating, reflecting. The crisis of love, the author said, occurs after those gifts have been opened and exclaimed over, after the party has quieted down and we're by ourselves taking inventory as to how our holiday went. As we look over the spoils of the day, we are left with the emotional question, are we loved? Did people take time and give thought, creative energy, and maybe money to tell us that we are? Did the gifts we gave say that to the people that we gave them to? There are many ways to affirm a person, many ways to say, I love you. Did we succeed with this one? Almost 48 years later, both my husband and I still joke about how hard it can be to learn to love and be loved, especially when a suit is at stake, and the peculiar part that gifts can play in that. So here's what to do about gifts. I say, give them. Maybe sometimes ask directly if there's something a person needs or would appreciate. Know why you choose each gift, what it means to you to give that gift to that person. And please let it be something beyond checking off a box on your list. Be gracious when receiving it, even if you hate the gift. There has to be something you can appreciate about it. If you recall, my husband said, wow, I've never gotten anything like this before. It was at the moment the nicest thing he could think to say about something he seriously thought was not okay. So find something good that you can say, even if it's only, no, not that you can say, something you can think so that you can say something nice, because not everything we think ought to come out our mouths. Sometimes you look at something and you think, wow, am I going to be a generous donor to the Salvation Army this year, or whatever your favorite charity of choice for stuff is. Obviously, don't say that, but you can think it if it helps you smile and genuinely thank the giver. Let yourself have that annual crisis of love and take inventory of yourself in the process. Recognize the evidence that you are indeed loving and lovable, and be determined to be even better at it with the insights that giving and receiving gifts offers. And above all, always remember that a gift, a true gift, does not come with strings attached. The ribbons are broken, the wrapping ripped open, so that the recipient is free to do as they wish with their gift. Our gift does not tie us to them, nor theirs to us. So no matter how or what we thought they should do with our gift, the decision is theirs. Once we give a gift, it is no longer anything we have any authority or influence over. And that's one of the beauties of a true gift. Which brings us back to the beginning and the bishop who wanted to avoid the consumerism of massive gift giving and return to the gift that started it all. The fault does not lie in Santa. The fault lies in us. Santa's story has evolved in keeping with human culture and need for centuries. He is a spiritual figure. We make him what he is. Despite eventually exposing the fiction of the chimney and the flying reindeer, the truth is that, yes, Virginia, there is a Santa Claus. He exists as certainly as love and generosity and devotion exist. And you know that they abound and give to your life its highest beauty and joy. Words of wisdom you may recognize from 1897 and the editor's letter to the child Virginia, who wrote to the newspaper to ask, is there really such a thing as Santa Claus? We are responsible for how we speak of Santa and how we celebrate his spirit. Santa is not at war with the baby on the hay, nor with the saint who incorporated his values into his life so memorably. They're on the same team. So let's join it. Merry Christmas. And hallelujah and amen. We've got time. We do for a response. Anybody have anything they'd like to add? Bram.
When I was 9 months old, my dad got me a little Santa doll.
Thank you.
It was 1957. And I still have that Santa, and I wish I had brought it today.
Oh, yeah. That's lovely. Others? Anybody else have a thought? Janet.
Well, first of all, I'm going to say that I'm going to recommend that my kids who have little kids listen to this because they are both so afraid of the day that their kids discover that Santa is imaginary and how to face that. And so this was a great talk. Thank you so much. But I remember my brother telling me, he was a year older, in the car with the family on the way somewhere, there is no Santa Claus, and I was stunned. And then I said, well, then I guess there's no Easter Bunny either. And what about the Tooth Fairy? I was reduced to tears.
Yeah.
But eventually, the next big question is, well, then what about God?
Yeah.
And so it is a big deal, this trying to find out the right way to talk to our children about the transition then from the real person that's Santa and what you just said that was told to Virginia.
Okay, so everything that Janet just said, I was very traumatized when I was told the very same things. And the same people that told me those things also told me that God wasn't real. And it's been a struggle ever since until I kind of grew up and learned to redefine these things, redefined my relationship with the divine and with spirituality in general. But when it came time for me to talk to my kids about Santa, when they were old enough to really comprehend things, I told the story in a way that they knew it was a story. I did not want to set them up to be disappointed the way I was. So I just told them the story in a way that they later figured, they figured it out. They were so intelligent that they figured it out early in life, and I just told them the truth that Santa Claus was a spirit being and that he did come to us every Christmas and fill our hearts with generosity and the desire to give and make people happy.
Thank you.
And just one more thing, I learned the hard way too, not to ever get my husband clothing for Christmas. He will wear his clothes until he converts. Those of you who have met him know this.
Thank you so much. I think is there anybody else who needs to say? I'm squinting at the clock there.
I'll say something again. My first husband, my children's father, one Christmas he gave me rocks. So, but he was a lover of all things beautiful and geological things, and he gave me these rocks that were geodes. And it was like I was shocked because, you know, I would like earrings and, you know, small rocks. That's what I got.
Precious rocks.
And I kind of had a hard place in my heart about that for a long time. But I put them on the shelf and made bookends out of them. And now he's gone. And I look at those and I say, that's him. He gave that out of love in his heart that he wanted to share what he loved with me. And I'm so thankful I have them.
Steve and I told the kids in a story format too about Santa, and it's been a lot of fun because they know that we don't let people break into the house. We just don't let things like that happen. So I think they just grew up knowing that this is a cool story. And then actually when Haley was really young, we made these things called Santa bags. Well, they started off as pillowcases, but then some things. And then Santa just brings some gifts. And he doesn't have to wrap anything because, well, he's got a bag for it, just stick it in the bag. And so it's become a real fun thing for us to do, is just have this bag full of, oh, we forgot to wrap these, and just stick them all in the bag. And you get your soda, well, they get beer and liquor now, and they used to get soda and Pop-Tarts and things that we would never buy, because we're like, hey, why would I ever do that? Anybody else?
All right, well, while Carol makes the circuit around the sanctuary, if you would open your hymnal to number 224. There is a short little song called Let Christmas Come, and we will be singing it to what will sound when you hear it like a very familiar melody. For those of you who are familiar with the names of the melodies, the Tallis Canon, we sing a lot of stuff to it. So we will close with that and then extinguish our chalice after that.
Shall we stand?
Oh, yes, stand. Let's stand in parade.
Yes.
Let Christmas come, its story told, when days are short and winds are cold. Let Christmas come, its lovely song, when evening soon and night is long. Let Christmas come, its great star glow on quiet city parks of snow. Let Christmas come, its table gleam, love born again, the truth of dreams.
Would you join me, please, in the words as we extinguish our chalice? By its light we are seen, by its light we have learned. May all that our chalice has revealed to us take root within us, creating healthy hearts and minds, and building beloved community. Shalom and blessed be. May we learn how to give. May we learn how to receive. May we help each other to know that we are loved. May we celebrate truth both in fact and fiction all the days of our lives. Blessed be. And now, we're already standing. If you turn and face each other across the aisle, we'll close with Go Now in Peace.
Go now in peace, go now in peace. May the spirit of love surround you everywhere, everywhere you may go.
And I believe there is coffee and an assortment maybe of munchies in the social hall.